Okay, good evening. Happy Easter. I apologize for this being so late in the week. I was on leave this past week and it took me a while to get around to doing this video. So hopefully I can upload it. We'll see. All right, so improving the EIS process. So this one, I'm thinking we're all pretty much on the same page as some of the frustrations that we see with this process. Clearly, there has been a disconnect between what the original Code of Federal Regulations, what the intent was behind the NEPA process, and what it has become. It seems like the bureaucratic ball started rolling and just didn't stop. So first, I want to start off with the original intent of NEPA. It was supposed to be concise and focused. Let's see. So in 40 CFR, Title 40, Protection of Environment, Chapter 5, Council on Environmental Quality, Part 1500, the Purpose, Policy, and Mandate, Section 1500.1, Purpose. Okay, so the purpose is to make excellent actions, not make a lot of paperwork. 1500.1B talks about the information must be of high quality, accurate scientific analysis, expert agency comments, and public scrutiny are essential to implementing NEPA. Most important, NEPA documents must concentrate on the issues that are truly significant to the action in question rather than amassing needless detail. So, what is needless detail? Well, later on, 1502.7 talks about page length. So the text of final environmental impact statements, examples paragraphs D through G of 1502.10 shall normally be less than 150 pages, and for proposals of unusual scope or complexity shall normally be less than 300 pages. Okay, so I thought, well, man, maybe I just haven't noticed that they just haven't been quite that long. So I pulled up a couple final environmental impact statements for a couple projects to see just how long they were. So this first one here, if I can switch the camera. Can I switch the camera? Maybe not. Okay, well, all right. Is the environmental impact statement for a early site permit at the Clinch River nuclear site. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if you look up here in the top left here, it's the first page of 613 pages. Okay, so a little more than 300, but perhaps, nuclear is just something that just requires that much more detail. So looking at this one, this is for a proposal to bring in liquefied natural gas into the Jacksonville area. A little more run-of-the-mill, 660 pages. So my point here is that, one, we're not in compliance with the original intent. So I started doing some more looking and found that there is a NEPA annual report. In aircraft maintenance and maintenance in general, they have a saying that what gets measured gets fixed. So metrics are great, and I love being able to see the performance of a program or a process. So according to the 2015 annual report, I wasn't able to access the 16, 17, or 18. The average timeline from notice of intent to final environmental impact statement was on average 5 years, 1,841 days, which seems a bit ridiculous. That's a very long time. One, that's a lot of resources that are tied up, and then two, it's a very long time for details to get worked out, and I don't think it really meets the intent of being focused and truly significant. So interestingly enough, in 2001, 14.9% of the projects were completed from notice of intent to record of decision within one year. So 14.9%, not a very high number. 2015, however, 2.7% were completed in a year. So that's a downward trend over the course of 14 years. It's just not conducive to this modern day and age. So moving on a little further, some metrics that I thought were kind of funny. Within this final annual report, the EPA was talking about the adequacy of impact statements. They were determining there was much that was insufficient information. In this instance, let's see here, 62.9% of the ones that were measured had insufficient information, and then only 34.7% were adequate. Now, funny on this one, this bothers me. In a published federal document, right, we've got insufficient informatiat. Those kind of things just make me kind of go, okay, that's weird. But notwithstanding, moving on here. So what does the EPA consider? So if they're the ones that are out there looking at this and saying these are adequate or insufficient information, you need to provide more. One of the cases was did not fully assess the nature. So this is referring to Corps of Engineers project. Did not fully assess the nature and extent of effects, the effectiveness and feasibility of proposed mitigation measures or alternatives to this action. So they wanted more detail. What do you want to bet that is not a 150-page document? So what does NEPA, or what does EPA consider for their metrics? Well, the National Environmental, I went to the EPA website. They have the National Environmental Policy Act 2017 annual results. This is funny to me. In fulfillment of our responsibilities under Section 309 of the Clean Air Act, EPA issued comment letters on over 270 draft and final environmental impact statements. EPA met its performance goal in fiscal year 2017 for the NEPA program. One bullet statement here. So I can hold it there. You can read it. 72% of the significant impacts identified in EPA's comment letters on draft EISs were avoided, minimized, or compensated for, mitigated by the lead agencies in the final EISs published in fiscal year 2017. The NEPA program's goal was 70%, so they beat the standard by 2%. Good for them. That's it. That's the only performance measure that they have. So my first thought is there's a bureaucratic layer in here that slows stuff down. So how do we make this better? I see I'm going pretty long here. How to make this better? Well, in any process, the way you improve the process is by finding the things that are value added and things that are not value added, and the things that are don't contribute to the end goal, and you remove them. So you streamline the process. So I started to look and see what has been done, what has been streamlined. Has anything been streamlined? Turns out it kind of has. So in 2017, 15 August to be exact, Executive Order 13807 on establishing discipline and accountability in the environmental review and permitting process for infrastructure was published. So among the statements and guidelines within this are a couple things that I want to pull out. One, the one federal, let's see if I can find it here, one federal decision mandate. So each major infrastructure project will have one federal agency that is the lead. So this cuts out a lot of the extra stuff and keeps it at one level, which is great. But the other thing that I thought was very interesting was that they established a 90-day rule. Okay, so from let's see, single record of decision. So under the one federal decision policy, a single record of decision will be issued, and from start to finish, it must be completed within 90 days. Now there is a caveat there for extenuating circumstances to make sure that all the depth that is really necessary is met. But 90-day timelines is what they're aiming for, which I think is good. Really, outside of that, I don't know the entire process. Obviously, with all that goes into a lot of detail, but we have to ask ourselves: is all that detail really necessary, and does it really contribute? Because again, the intent behind NEPA is not to make something that is ridiculously big, that takes a degree in environmental policy to actually read. This should be able to be understood by everybody, so they can provide relevant input. And so another thing that I saw in here in the executive order talked about a a dashboard. So under U.S. Code 42, there is I gotta find it here. There we go. All right, Public Health and Welfare, Chapter 55, National Environmental Policy, Subchapter 9, Federal Permitting Improvement, Section 4370M-2, Permitting Process Improvement. This jumped out at me because we're doing this at my work right now. They established a permitting dashboard. So a dashboard at work for me, it's essentially a color-coded one screen where I can look at all of my processes, all of my areas that I need to focus on, and I can find, based on metrics, where I should dedicate my time. So instead of just kind of willy-nilly going at everything, I can see what's performing well and what's not, and the things that are not, I can address them. So dashboard jumped out at me, and I thought, okay, well, what's this dashboard look like? And I was actually pleasantly surprised. So let's take a look here. Can I turn this camera? I can't. All right. Do my best here. All right. So, what's a dashboard look like? So this is the permitting dashboard, and I'll make sure I share the link because it's pretty nifty. One, it's obviously a pretty decent graphic user interface. You see a lot of the projects are over here in the West, California. But I thought it was pretty nifty that you could go through so fast. Everything's color coded here. You've got some Fast 41 covered projects, partial registration projects, and legacy projects. So let's click on one of these here. All right, so Plains and Eastern Clean Line. So if you open that, I've already done it to make sure my browser works. You click on that, you come to this page. All right, so it gives you the project status, what sector it was in, the lead agency, so that's under the one federal decision, which is good. You can have a point of contact, and then a description. Now check this out. That's it. That gives you your description on what this is, what the bottom line is, what they want to do. So if I'm a person living in Oklahoma, one, I have a name. I can call somebody, which is fantastic. And two, I can go in here and I can look and see, okay, this is what they want to do. What do they want to do? Well, Clean Line, that's this guy, Clean Line Energy Partners, seeks the department's participation in the development, siting, construction, operation, maintenance, and ownership of high voltage direct current transmission facilities running approximately 705 miles from western Oklahoma to the Arkansas-Tennessee border. Clean Line, acting on its own and without the department's participation, would build additional facilities that would connect the project in Texas and Tennessee. The project would deliver up to 4,000 megawatts of primarily wind generation from the Oklahoma-Texas Panhandle region to the Mid-South, which could meet the annual energy needs of more than 1.5 million average American homes. Oh, this energy project. Well, that's cool. Okay, well, what's on here? So this is the timetable. So when it's in action, you'll see all the actual timetables. You can see everything's complete here. So Clean Water Act, different sections, you can break it down by however you want. You see when they were completed. Now this one was started in 2015 and then completed in 2017. The original notice of intent was submitted in 2012. But so if you click on Environmental Impact Statement, View Action Details, takes you to this page, and you can see all the timelines. So scoping was completed here, okay. And then you can go and click on the actual document and read everything. But from a metrics performance-based standard, this is what I'm looking at. I mean, I can see, all right, this took about 5 years to complete. That's not the fastest, but I can see that it was done. Actually, 4 years. So record decision issued 2016. So that's not terrible, but it's a great first start. So one of the things I love about the dashboard is that it's continuously updated. They have a little note on here that says if you have any ideas you want to update, any input or anything, please let us know. And then it has updated 2019, January 2019. So it's a living, breathing thing that continuously be updated. So that's good. And also the second is that it provides transparency. So if I don't wrap up a project in 600 pages of documents you have to sift through, and I can give you the meat and potatoes and the detail, or the meat and potatoes without the detail, and the decision grade information directly to you in an easy to ingest format, then I've met the intent of NEPA. The bottom line, these are the impacts. You want to dig more? This is how you do it. So I think that's a great start. So the next step, trim more of the fat. Now we still have projects that are taking a very long time, but we need to start moving at the speed of knowledge, the speed of innovation, and that's what I think we're going to get. Linking this with social media apps, something like that, where you can, maybe you don't know that it's something that has occurred near you, right? So you don't, not following the newspapers and seeing a public announcement. Maybe one of your Facebook scrolls comes up and says, "Hey, did you know about this?" You click on it, you go to it, you get brought to the dashboard, and you can get smart quickly. If you don't, then you may be subject to misinformation, propaganda, and people's opinions on the matter. But if you can get the information, the facts, the clear facts quickly, it's a better process, and people can make better decisions based on it. So, from my perspective, on the way to improve this is the right steps. We're going in the right direction. One, setting them timelines, not allowing such a broad amount of time to complete. Set a goal and a deadline. Failure to meet that goal, I'm not sure where you go from that. Do you enforce it? How do you enforce it? What are the mechanisms for that? It's probably another discussion, but the intent behind it is good. Again, going back to the truly significant things, not the needless detail. Nobody, I showed my wife the other day, which she thought wasn't as cool as I did, but I pulled up a final EIS, and I said, if this was something that you were going to read, that you were really concerned about, would you go through 600 pages? And she was like, I control F. Okay, yeah. Probably what we've done in this class a lot of times, to find what I think is the basics. I read the executive summaries, so she said she'd do that too. But again, that's not really, I think, the best use of that, because then everything else is just wrapped up in bureaucratic tape. So why are we doing this to ourselves? It doesn't make sense to me. If you can't explain it simply, then you don't really understand it. So I say that going on 17 minutes here, but I think it's going in the right direction. So setting timelines, using this dashboard initiative, letting that develop and continue to develop, I think is a good thing. And and then shortening timelines and getting the real decision grade information to the people that need to make the decisions, including but not limited to your neighbors, your policy managers, your public servants, and that sort of thing. So that's all I have here. I'm going to attempt to upload this. This is new for me. I haven't done a video. I didn't check to see if I'd cleaned anything in my office. So if you saw anything weird, please ignore it. But thanks for everything. This has been a fun class so far. Looking forward to the last week. And then best of luck. Cheers.